Resellers are losing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to one simple mistake. Luckily, it's an easy fix, and that's what I'm going to help you out with in this video.
Hey there, my name is Lee Meyer. I'm the founder of Listing of Freedom and the EmpoweredReseller.com, and I'm on a mission to help 1,000 resellers make $100,000 in the next 12 months.
If you're new here, then welcome to the channel. My name is Lee Meyer. I'm a stay-at-home mom of 4, and I've made well over $100,000 flipping used clothes and other items on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. And now I'm on a mission to help at least 1,000 resellers this year be able to hit that $100,000 mark for themselves. So to help you out, I've got a few free gifts that you'll find down here in the description below this video, including things like my best brands list. This is a list of 150 brands that has led me to that $100,000 mark and beyond. You'll also find a link down here to sign up for my free $100,000 reseller challenge. In this free challenge, I lay out exactly how to hit $100,000 for yourself this year, even in part-time hours. You're gonna discover the very best things to be selling right now. They're not what you think they are. And you're gonna get in on the best kept secret. And that's the fastest way to hit $100,000 for yourself that no other resellers are talking about. All right, so on to today's video topic. And this is a topic that hurts when I did this research to put together this video, because I realized how many hundreds and thousands of dollars sellers are losing out on because they're making one simple mistake. And we're gonna fix that in this video. Now, the mistake that I'm talking about, and I'm gonna be going through 13 different examples for you, showing you real life examples. This isn't just theory, just my ideas, but I'm gonna show you behind the scenes some of the sales that are happening because of this mistake. And I'm gonna show you sales that did not sell for as much as they should have, and then some examples of sales that sold for substantially more from doing this one simple fix. Now, you're probably wondering what this mistake is, and this is a mistake of not using aesthetic-based keywords in your clothing listings. By aesthetic, I'm referring to the style of the item, the look of the item. It's easy enough to include things like physical features of maybe a button-up, a collar, a V-neck, denim. Those are physical keywords. Keywords that you can actually see right in front of you. What I'm referring to is more abstract. It's a little bit harder for resellers to come up with, especially when you're creating listings. And what you're gonna get with this video is some really practical tips that can help even with your current listings. So after you watch this video, I would recommend going back through your own listings, whatever platform that they're on. We're gonna be looking at multiple platforms in this video, and going back and taking a new look at those and seeing if you can add in some of these keywords and hopefully get your items sold quicker and for more money. Not only that, but once you watch this video and see some of these different aesthetics that are selling really well right now, it's also going to open you up to substantially more sourcing opportunities. When you're looking for these types of styles and aesthetics, it can actually set you free from having to be dependent only on having good brands to source. All right, let's go ahead and head on over to my computer and we'll get started. All right, so I've got these all lined up, ready to go. I'm gonna go through these as quickly as I can because I do have a lot to be able to get through. This first item that we're looking at, now when I was doing these comparisons, I tried to keep the brand similar so that we're comparing apples to apples as closely as possible. Sometimes I was able to find the exact identical item, other times just similar items. So this first one is actually an Abercrombie and Fitch skirt. You're going to also notice that with a lot of these pictures, the pictures on the item that did not sell for very much, for example, this skirt sold for $7, the pictures are not always the best, and that can contribute to the price as well. So there's many factors that can contribute to how much you can get for your items, including even how much you price your items for. You're going to see items that sold for $3, Part of the reason is because they were listed for $3 and not for $100 or whatever they should have been listed for. So it's a little bit more complicated than just the style, but I'm going to show you how, when you know the styles that people want, you're able to price your items for more and get what you deserve. All right, so this first item, this is a Abercrombie & Fitch skirt. That one sold for $7, and we're looking at the Mercari platform. I do have a variety of different platforms to be able to show you. This is another one that sold for $5 plus shipping. Now, with both of these listings, the seller did not use a whole lot of keywords. So you're noticing this first listing, it just says plaid skirt. It doesn't say much more than that in the description. Same with this one. They did a little bit better with putting the title, the brand title. They say lining, plaid, but there's not many more keywords other than that. Here's one on the same platform, kind of a similar style. It has a little bit different look with some pockets as well as buttons, but kind of that similar look with the plaid. And this seller got $73 for this skirt from the same brand. And they did include a section here in the description with a whole bunch of style-based keywords or tags, as they labeled them here. So they've got vintage Y2K, fairy core, cyber goth, whimsy goth, Bella Swan, coquette, whimsy goth, woodland, schoolgirl, academia. They've got a whole list of these. Now, my recommendation is to include 3 to 5. You don't necessarily need a list that long, but you can see how this one sold for substantially more when the seller was able to describe this item a little bit better. This next item, this is another Abercrombie. This is one that is not pleated. This one sold for $7. And then I have a kind of a similar, it's a little bit different. I couldn't find an exact one on this, but you can see that this one sold for about 10 times as much when the seller was able to include some style-based keywords. So they've got McBling, coquette again, Bella Swan, white hounds too. So that's more of a physical, description of the pattern, but you can see that they have those style-based keywords in there. Now, over on Poshmark, I've got some dresses to look at. This is from a brand that is called Betsy and Adam, and there's the price range on this is all over. So there's some as low as $3 to $5, well into the hundreds. So a huge price range. But I try to find some similar comparisons. So this is a maxi dress, floor length. It's got some, looks like beadwork on it. And all the seller put was size 10 long navy blue gown. There's no, style-based tags in here. I am trying to keep the seller's identity as much hidden as possible where I can, just because this isn't about roasting other resellers. I've made plenty of my own mistakes, but I am going to try and, not just bash the sellers because, like I've said, I've made mistakes as well too. And so this one sold for $5. There's no any kind of really keywords in here. This is another good example where there are literally no keywords. It says lowest price there in the title. That title, like that is the most important place to have keywords is in your title. This seller put lowest price. Nobody is searching for that. And then down in the description, same thing. It just says a gorgeous purpley pink color. Okay, so then maybe that helps a little bit. They did use prom for one of their categories, but no style tags. And this is another maxi dress here. And then I think I've got one more example. This one sold for $4. You're seeing it has some kind of decor there on it. It looks like possibly velvet. There's not a whole lot of to go off. It says subtle shiny look. And maybe they're referring to the sequins. I'm not really sure. Again, not a whole lot of keywords here in the title or the description. Now, a couple of dresses where the sellers did use some keywords. This is another, long dress. And this one, you can see it's kind of, similar to the ones that we're looking at, but this one sold for $230. And they use some other keywords in here, such as Victorian, elegant. They've got some more keywords down here in the description, engagement party, New Year's Eve. So those are some,
an example of a seller who did use those keywords and got substantially more, $230 versus $5, your choice. Another one here from this same brand, the Betsy and Adam. This one sold for $165. And see if I can get a few more pictures of this for you. So it looks like, a mesh overlay with possibly velvet floral on that is my guess on that. And with this one, the seller, again, they used keywords. They've got whimsy goth, fairy, whimsy, goth spelled out. You don't necessarily need to have both. And then again, in the description, they've got keywords in there in the description. They've got some more cocktail party, feminine, romantic, boho, floral. This just goes to show when you know the keywords to use, you're going to be able to get substantially more for your items than $5. $5 at that point is not really even worth your time. Got a Gap jacket here. This is on eBay. This one sold for $12, $11.99. This kind of a velvet blazer. That's a women's. Another velvet blazer here. This one sold for $6. And then the next one that I have to show you, this one actually sold for $43. So about 4 to 5 times as much. Basically the same thing, maybe a little bit different color, but they did use keywords in here in the title, right there, the title: romantic, goth, preppy, academia. I'm not sure if they did in their listing as well. They have them actually here in the description. You can also include them in item specifics. So that would be the other place on eBay to go ahead and include those keywords. This next one is mud chunky shoes. So this is what these look like. Those sold for $3. Got another pair here. These sold for $4. Another one, actually, let me go back to that one because I think that's another good example of, in the title, all it says is platforms, final sale, clearing closet. Nobody is searching those. So you always want to put in your title, what people are actually searching. Another one here, this one sold for $4. Another pair there for $3. And you're seeing that these aren't the best pictures. So that does, really affect the pricing as well. If you're wondering, what it takes to be able to get good pictures like this, it doesn't take having to spend a whole lot of money. There's a really good lighting kit you can pick up on Amazon for under $100. I will link in the description below in the video to the one that I have used for years that's held up really well. And that lighting kit can go a long ways. The other thing I would recommend is a background remover. And if you're a Vendoo user, it's actually free. So I will link down in the description where you can actually get 25% off of your first month of Vendoo. So this is an example here of a similar style of shoe from the same brand, Mud, and these sold for $75. And in the description, you're going to see that the seller put in keywords. So there's punk, rock, grunge, streetwear, motorcycle. They pretty much got everything covered here. It's almost on the verge of spamming keywords, but it worked well for them. So $75, what other sellers were only getting, $3 or $5 for. Another pair here that's similar to those ones that, only sold for a few dollars. This one sold for $100. And again, they've got keywords in here: platform, brats, clogs. I'm not sure why that one, but you can see that those keywords do really matter. They also have Y2K that they put in as a style tag on Poshmark. This is another sold item that's very, very similar on Poshmark. And again, they put 90s here for that style tag, and some more good keywords like that Y2K. That Y2K keyword is really trending right now. And that pair of shoes, a side note, it's brown. A lot of these that are selling for this much are actually black. So I was a little bit surprised on this one, but that one sold for $130. This one is actually pretty interesting because I found almost the identical same item. This is a Hollister tank top. This one sold on Poshmark for $3. You can see it's got lace trim around the top as well as the bottom, and that sold for $3. Another same, almost identical item, just slightly different. Let me go back so you can kind of compare the two. This is more not a baby doll, but it's got that seam there below the bust. This second one does not. That's really the only difference. This second one sold for $52 because this first seller has no keywords. You can look in their description. There's no style tags. There's no keywords there in the description. This one, they did use Y2K. They use 2000s. That's about it for that. The only real difference between those two. Probably noticing that a lot of these items fall into the vintage category, and this can be one of the most lucrative niches to sell in. And I do cringe when I say Y2K and vintage in the same sentence, but it is what it is, and it technically is vintage. And I did recently update my vintage clothing guide. It now includes well over 150 different brands and vintage items to be sourcing for substantial profits. So I will leave a product card over here for that. Now, the next item that I've got to show you is actually a Coldwater Creek dress comparison. This is actually one that's new with tags. This one sold for $3, and there's literally not a single keyword other than velvet and dress and the brand. So $3 for a dress that's brand new with tags. Here is another one. This one sold for a little bit more. This one sold for $18. That was in, pre-owned condition. But in comparison, here's a dress that sold, same brand, Coldwater Creek. This one sold for $46. And the seller used some more keywords in their title as well as in their description. So that you will notice that they do have a line here that has Chinese, flowers, 90s, Y2K, fairy core, fairy goth, whimsy goth. That's down there in the description. So they've got, their keywords pretty well covered there. Here's another example from the same brand, Coldwater Creek, where the seller used those keywords in their title as well as the description. So you're going to notice in the title, they use the keyword whimsy goth. That's a really good keyword to be using right now. And they use some more in their description as well. So you're seeing goth, fairy, grunge, boho. And when you can include those, then the right people are going to find those. And those are just a style that people are dressing, and they're shopping for those types of items. They're not necessarily shopping by brand. Now, if you're needing help knowing these different aesthetics, in this video, I'm going to be covering, several different aesthetics. I can't cover them all, otherwise we would be here for days. But if you need help knowing those different aesthetics, then you're going to want to check out the keyword poster. This makes it super handy to print, have that next to your listing station, wherever it is that you're doing your listing, or even on your computer digitally. To have those, it makes infusing your listings with keywords that sell super simple. You're going to want to put them in your title, your description, as well as any tags if you're listing on a platform like Poshmark. If you're listing on eBay, then you can include them in your item specifics. Another one on Poshmark, this is a sequined tank. I actually did look up what seal for this brand, but this style of tank top comes in many different brands. I just had to pick one brand for comparison. So you're seeing turquoise sequined tank, a few keywords here, maybe sheer, padded cups. Other than that, not a whole lot. Another one here that sold for $4, black sequined tank top. Again, I think that was the same seller. This one, Y2K, and then they've got here in the description, fairy, fairy core, rave, festival, beaded, bimbo, cute, girly, trendy. That one sold for $150 for essentially the same identical thing from the same brand. Another one there that sold for $150. Again, keywords there in the description. Another one there for $150. Next are Hollister tanks. Again, I had to pick, certain brands to be able to do this research because I wanted to try to keep with, equal comparisons. So that tank sold for $3. This is what I would call a Babydoll, which is huge right now, where it's got that, maybe cinching there at the bust, and then it flares out a little bit. Here's an example of another one. I could not find identical items, but this is from the same brand, Hollister. This one sold for $40 as soon as they use Y2K and Babydoll there in the title. Another comparison here, this one sold for $38 from the same brand using Babydoll 2000s, Y2K there in the title. And the seller, again, they did use several keywords in their description: ballet core, ballerina, preppy, mall, cottage core, Bella Swan, fairy core, and another Hollister that's similar. This one sold for $50. Again, they're using that Babydoll there in the title as well as the description. Another mud comparison, mud boots this time, and I did just have to pick a brand, but this is evident among multiple different brands. This pair of boots sold for $17. It's kind of a unique pair. I would have used a lot of different keywords on that. I feel like it could have been steampunk, it could have been Victorian, Edwardian, multiple different keywords that could have been used on that. This is another pair of chunky heeled boots, lace up, combat style. Those sold for $10. Another pair here that sold for $10. This does have a little bit of some flaws on it. By comparison, this pair sold for $125. You're also noticing that the pictures are substantially better. Again, that has a huge role. So $125. These did, I'm guessing, also have some flaws. It says some flaws, and then it says looks like nail polish paint. So they may have covered up those scuffs with nail polish. This one sold for $125, and they used that Y2K keyword, as well as chunky and platform. But again, it really goes back to using that Y2K. Here's another one where they did, a pretty good job of using keywords here in the description. They've got dark academia, grunge, 90s, Y2K, e-girl, and punk are what they used. And this pair of boots that's similar to the ones that we looked at that only sold for $10. This one sold for $100. The next item, this is another one on Poshmark. This is a slip dress. And this is, I'm not sure exactly the brand. It does have kind of a handwritten tag if you look through the pictures, but this one sold for $5. Got another one here. This is from, a more mainstream brand, Nicole Miller. And this one sold for $5 again. And then by comparison, this is kind of a similar, I was trying to find something the same, but I could not find that same brand. This slip dress, this one sold for $63. It's got a little bit more detail on it with that lace up and some floral detailing there on the bust, but they did use, Y2K as well as whimsy goth for their keywords. And they've got some more style-based keywords down here in the description: fairy, feminine, velvet burnout, homecoming, social, cocktail. They used quite a few keywords down there in the description. Now, the next item, this is another Hollister tank, so I'm going to go through these pretty quick. This is kind of a scoop neck with lace trim. That one sold for $3. Again, nothing in the description other than green and size extra small. Title's basically the same. Got another one here where there's keywords used. That one sold for $50. That is very similar. This is another one. Again, they use some really high profit keywords. This Elena Gilbert, that can be a high profit keyword, and that one sold for $50. So that is the Elena Gilbert. And then this similar one, because of that keyword, because of the Y2K, that one sold for $50 as well. If you're needing help, by the way, getting your reselling business launched, you're going to want to check out my starter kit. It makes it super easy to get up running and bringing in those first sales. So I will leave a product card there. The next item that I want to show you is actually a brand that's called Adrianna Papell. This one sold for $45. There is a range of prices that these items are selling for. And, a pretty good decent amount. $45 is still a pretty good amount to get for a dress, but I'm seeing a lot of physical keywords. So I'm seeing long maxi dress, 100% silk, beaded. There's not a lot by way of aesthetic based keywords. The closest that you get is really here in the description. It says party, Christmas, holidays. That is the closest that you get. I'm going to show you some comparisons. This is another one, $58. That's still a pretty good decent price. This one was new with tags, but again, they're all physical keywords. They're, beaded, evening gown, spaghetti strap, silk, sequins. There's not a whole lot of other keywords besides those physical keywords. Here's another one. This one sold for $3. It has the color. It's got, beaded gown worn for 5 hours as a bridesmaid's dress. Not a whole lot. It's actually a very, very beautiful dress. I would have probably put cottage core, fairy core. It's got that nice overlay on it. It's got that beadwork. Should have sold for more than $3. Next, Adrianna Papell. This is another one that would have fit really good with that fairy core, fairy grunge aesthetic. Light fairy. This one sold for $4. Again, it's got that beadwork on it. And then by comparison, actually, before we get to the comparison, another one here that would have been really good for that fairy core aesthetic. That one sold for $20. But again, the sellers didn't put any of that in the titles or the descriptions. All right, by comparison, these sellers did put in keywords. So it says perfect for formal, semi-formal, black tie, cocktail. So some few keywords there. And then in the title, they did use fairy and grunge. And so this one sold for $167. Another comparison, this is another one that I believe the fairy core, the fairy keywords in. So you'll see that there in the title, fairy. That one sold for $135. And then another kind of similar one. This one, it's got that beadwork, just like those ones that sold for a lower dollar amount. That one sold for $100. You're seeing here in the description, it says Y2K fairy vibe gown. A couple more comparisons here. There's one that is sold for a ton of money. I'll get to that here next. And that one sold for $102. Now this next one, this is the one that I mentioned that sold for a ton. This one sold for $800. And I tried to do a comparison in another video, and there's not anything, close to this $800 for this similar style of dress. So I believe it really does have to do with some of the keywords like this fairy goth. And, of course, the fact that the seller asked that much, because you're not going to get $800, if you're only asking $100. But they did use some keywords down here, Y2K, whimsy goth, woodland fairy, dark mermaid, siren core. I'm not sure what that is. And then you're seeing style tags as well. So you're seeing gothic and fairy goth and Y2K that they used in their style tags. All right. And then next is a Hollister shirt. This one's got the buttons down the front. It's a 3/4 sleeve. That one sold for $10, but the seller put Hollister shirt, half sleeve. So you got, one keyword there, shirt for women in great condition. No style tags. This one that's got that scoop neck doesn't have the buttons, but it is that 3/4 sleeve. That one sold for $65 using Twilight, Bella Swan, Hannah, and they've got that down there repeated in the description. They've also got New Moon, Eclipse, Kristen Stewart. And then this one's got the buttons down the front, but more full length sleeve. That one sold for $54, again from Hollister. And they've got the, Bella Swan, Elena Gilbert keywords there in the description. They've also got Hermione Granger, Harry Potter there. So that one sold for $54 using those keywords.
Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, as well as consider subscribing to the channel. I've got lots more amazing reseller content headed your way soon. And if you haven't yet signed up for that free $100,000 reseller challenge, you're gonna wanna do that now. Again, the link to sign up is down here in the description below this video. All right, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video soon.